Okay, so this is a preview for Sweden's upcoming game against Denmark in the Euros, their first match of the Euros this Friday. I'm going to just give my general thoughts on Denmark from the perspective of Sweden, and then just generally talking about Sweden as well, and my thoughts of where we're at. I actually did originally make this video outside the Strawberry Arena yesterday in Solna. I'm currently on a trip away, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity, but then the audio didn't really work, and the filming was not great. I might overlay a clip so you can see it wasn't great. So I'm just going to talk. So I decided to redo the video. So firstly, I wanted to talk about Denmark. Obviously, they are managed by a Swedish manager, Andre Jäglertz, and he's leaving. This is his first tournament with them, but he's also leaving after this tournament. I guess like Peter Gerhardsen for us, but obviously always a slightly interesting dynamic when that happens. They're a good side, you know. They play 4-3, 3-4-3 usually, some sort of like wing back formation. They do really like to play out the back. They're an attacking side, you know. They like to try and control matches, and we saw how that backfired for them in their game against us. We saw how that backfired for them in the Nations League in our most recent game when we beat them 6-1. They actually haven't played a friendly in preparation for this. So their most recent match was losing 6-1 against us, which, yeah, and to be and we also beat them in February 2-1. So obviously our record against them this year is impressive, but I would be, as I've said in previous videos, I would be shocked if Denmark try and play the same way that they played against us in that game. The way they kind of were constantly trying to pass out, and they were passing it into that players that were outnumbered in the midfield, and we were just like, we were completely dominated in terms of the press. So it's going to be interesting to see if they try and go for that approach again. Like I said, but that is kind of their style and how they like to play. So I'd be very happy for them to play that same way and hope that we can get on top of them again with our press. But obviously, there's a chance that they can play through us. The game in February 2-1, Denmark had more opportunities, I felt, on like transition, and like Pernille Harder in kind of like those slightly kind of not fully wide but slightly more wide areas, half spaces where she was driving at us. And sometimes I feel like that's one weakness you can target this Swedish side, is that kind of transition when you've only got the defensive midfielder in like Zigote Olme still like sitting there, and Angeldar's gone forward, and maybe a few of the fullbacks are a bit out of position. That's when you can target this side, and it feels like there can be quite a lot of room to attack us. But I think Sweden can deal with that, how we dealt it in the second game when we beat them 6-1, in terms of just pressing really intensely and really kind of cutting out those passes that try and make their way to the midfielders. But yeah, it'll be an interesting game, and like I said, it is interesting that we've played them twice. There's lots of games in this Euros which have already been played this year in the Nations League. I'm thinking, you know, like Spain, Portugal, Belgium, that group. And then us and Denmark, and Finland. No, not Finland. I mean Iceland, Switzerland, Norway have all played each other the past year. So it's an interesting dynamic in this tournament. But yeah, so obviously players to look out for, probably their key player is probably Pernille Harder, and obviously there's that extra kind of dynamic between the fact it's her partner playing on the other field in Magda Eriksson, and obviously similar areas of the pitch. It just adds a bit more. Magda missed our last game against Denmark because suspension, but they did play in February. Yeah, so I think they're a good side. I think they have some good stuff going for them, but also they beat Wales twice in the Nations League, and beat Italy, but then also lost to Italy 3-0, and then lost twice to us. So it's inconsistent, 3 wins, 3 losses this year. And like I said, no friendly for preparations is interesting. I don't know the reason for that. If people know, that doesn't really make much sense to me, especially after you come off a 6-1 defeat. But yeah, so from a Swedish perspective, I think I'm fairly confident going into this game. I think it's a big game. Actually, just going back to one thing about Denmark, I think this is a massive game for Denmark because I think this is where their tournament potential lies. You know, I think they'll probably expect, obviously they'll try their best, but they'll probably lose against Germany and they probably will beat Poland. You know, that's obviously not definite, but I think they will believe this is the game that's kind of decides their tournament. You know, if they lose this, that's not great for them at all. For Sweden, I think it's an important game, but maybe slightly less important. Just because obviously there's that expectation that we will get through the group, and therefore, I mean, a draw might not be the worst result in that hope that maybe we can do better on goal difference against Poland, or maybe we can also draw against Germany or beat Germany. I think Germany are really good. I may sound like I'm hyping them up a bit too much when I think we'll come second, and I think we'll probably lose against Germany, but I don't think we can't beat them. You know, I think, but I'm also not too bothered if we don't beat them and we come second in the group and we just and we kind of move on from that point. You know, I'm thinking about the 2019 World Cup. We had USA and we lost to them in the group stage, but that didn't stop us from going far. It's kind of what happens. You just get through the group and then work from there. And I think this team is very good at that. So yeah, about the team, I did do my starting 11 prediction generally for the tournament a few weeks, was it like last week? But if I had to give my thoughts on this game in particular, I think the team is pretty settled. I think it will be the team that I predicted. Obviously, I don't think there's not going to be Rolfa. The latest update on her was that she's training individually, but not with the team. So she's with the medical team. And then I think it was yesterday I heard an update that she was, yesterday as in Tuesday, she was starting to do more high intensity, still training alone, but that's all good things. But she's not going to be available for this game. We're like certain. So I think it'll be Yanogi. I think Yanogi's actually only been the one that's, you know, she's played the majority of the minutes since Rolfa went off that match injured. I know we've only had half a game and another game, but I think it'll be Yanogi. I think Hurtig's played really well off the bench in the 10, and I think we'll see her there, probably there again in this game. You know, if that's something we need. So the positions which I think are therefore up for debate, because I think Yanogi's probably got that left wing. She's not been amazing, don't get me wrong, but I think I was quite promised by the start against Denmark, and maybe against Norway, and then maybe she drifted out the game. I think the positions are right back, Hannah Lundqvist. I think for me she starts. I think she's a really good player. I think she's more of an all-round player than Holmberg. But Holmberg, I understand why loads of people want her. She was so good. I've said it so many times. Just that pace, that double threat. If you have both on her and Cannerid on both running out of positions, like that is really scary stuff for defenders. If you're having both of them combining, maybe they don't complement each other brilliantly, but just generally the threat is there. But I would go Hannah Lundqvist because I think she played so well when we played Denmark, because she kind of sat in a bit more. I spoke about it in my video where she sat in more, almost like a back three, sometimes in build up, not all the time. And I think that helped us, and I don't think that's something Holmberg would do. I would think I would play Holmberg against Poland, not just for the sake of rotation, but because I think we can target them and that will be a bigger threat for them than someone like Lundqvist, who maybe's a bit better at like building up. But I think just the threat of Holmberg's running would work more against Poland. Similarly, I would probably play Benison against Poland. She played really well. She's really good technically. The way she can receive the ball on the half turn and go and play it forward is really impressive. But I think Zigoto Olme, I would start in this game because I think we need that kind of pressing tenaciousness against this Denmark side that will try and play out from the back. I'm thinking again, in my video about how we beat Denmark 6-1, Zigoto Olme, there was a time between like 5 minutes and 7 minutes where she won the ball back literally like 3 times from just pressing in that to one of their double pivot players, and she was just immense in that game. I don't think people make, because we won 6-1 and there was loads of brilliant attacking play, but seriously, she was so good in that game. And I do think she's still, I may be sounding like a broken record the amount I go on about her, but I do think she just sounds like she's pretty underappreciated when I talk to people around. So I think that I would start her. And I wouldn't just play Benison against Poland for the sake of it, but I would, in terms of just for the sake of rotation, I would actually, because I think they're both their players are more suited to each of those games. You know, I think we can do better against Poland with someone of Benison's abilities. Likewise, I think we can do better against Denmark with someone obviously got Olme's abilities. Other than that, I think the team is fairly settled. The goalkeeper we know, the centre backs, I think that's settled now. Left back, yeah. Angeldal, yeah. She's she's fine. I know I was worried in the last video after she had that she got stamped on, but she seems like she's fine. She said it was a planned substitution. We know Canarid's going to be on the right. Aslani will be in the 10, and Blackstenius will be up top. So I'm pretty certain of that. It's only the right back and defensive midfielder where I feel like I think it's kind of like, I don't want people to be annoyed, you know, if Holmberg's not starting. You know, I think people should. I think it would be the right decision. Then again, if we start Holmberg, I'm all for it. I think it could still work. I'm just that is just what I would go for. So overall, I'm pretty. I'm looking forward to the tournament. The tournament starts today as of recording. I'm on Wednesday, so I'll be watching some of the matches. I definitely will be watching the Group C matches even more so. I'm on a flight at the time of the game, so I'll try and watch that if there's Wi-Fi. If not, I'll have to watch the Sweden Denmark a tiny bit after. But yeah, I'll try to get a review up for that pretty soon after as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the tournament. I think it's going to be a tough game. Don't get me wrong. I think this will be really tough. I would be shocked if it's like another 6-1. Denmark are a good side. This is a really competitive match. They'll really be targeting this. There'll be an element of revenge as well, considering what has happened in the last match. So I'm a bit nervous for it, but I'm also fairly confident that we can get the job done and we've got a team that can do this. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you for the next one.